Well, it is 6 o'clock.
Sure, let's go ahead and kick things off.
Okay.
All right, well, welcome everybody. Tonight, we are hosting a webinar to explain how to use Inyo County's Draw Your Own Districts tool. I'm here with Mike Hay, who is the master of this tool, and he's going to give everyone a very thorough and in-depth presentation on how to use it. But before we get into Mike's presentation, I wanted to just give a very brief summary of things that people are going to want to keep in mind on the legal front when drawing maps to submit to the Inyo County Redistricting Commission. So first, to briefly introduce myself, my name is Grace Hukla. I'm an attorney with Inyo County, and I'm providing some legal advice to the Redistricting Commission and staff that is helping to present maps and present information to the Commission. So I won't go too deep into the legal rules. If you're interested in those, we have a lot of helpful links posted on our redistricting website. And you can also attend the Inyo County Commission redistricting hearings to learn more about the many legal rules that go into redistricting. But very briefly, the major sort of guide rails that you need to keep in mind when drawing a map to present to the Commission is first, you want to achieve substantially equal districts. Inyo County has 5 supervisorial districts, and with our population of approximately 19,000, that means you want about 3,792 people in each of your districts. There is some wiggle room, and the exact rules about the wiggle room are discussed in detail at the redistricting hearings, but just keep 3,792 in mind as your general target. And the second major thing is that your districts have to be contiguous, meaning that we can't have any islands or other separations between districts. So with that in mind, I'll turn things over to Mike.
Thank you. So I am Mike Hay. I am GIS analyst for the County of Inyo, and I have created this districting tool to help hopefully people be able to create some potential districts for the redistricting effort of the county. So I'm going to go through how to find the redistricting tool on the website, brief introduction to what the tool looks like, and then we'll get into how to draw your own districts, how to export that out to a data format that can then be submitted to the Redistricting Commission so that those can be put out for the public and reviewed by the Redistricting Commission for review. So I'm going to share my screen. So right now we are looking at the front page of the county website. There are 2 places where the Draw Your Own District can be found. The one that will be consistent for the entirety of the process is at the top on the menu bar under Government. Pull down under the Board of Supervisors, there is a redistricting page, which we'll come back to in a second. It's also been added to the county news section here. This will get rotated through as more news items are added. For now, it's up here on the front page here also and can be accessed. An advantage of going through this menu is that it takes you to the redistricting page. It contains lots of information on the redistricting effort, the history and the process, as well as where you can get comments about the redistricting effort, as well as submit the exports from this Draw Your Own Districts process. So to launch the Draw Your Own District tool, we come down here on the right side of the page. There are redistricting tools. There are few things to look at here. We're going to go right into the Draw Your Own District tool, which is this here. The front splash screen that we see provides guidelines for redistricting. This is important information here to keep in mind. The total population, the number of 3,792, which is the goal of even distribution, and some other information is available here. This is available elsewhere, so you can OK out of the splash screen. And here you see the tool, the Draw Your Own Districts tool. So a brief introduction to the front page of the tool. The first thing to look at is the title page. There are two links up on the sort of the left side of the title page. One link is the Redistricting Guidelines. When we click on that, that brings up a PDF of the splash screen that we were looking at. So you can have that open for consulting while you're creating your districts. The other very important help link here is the help files link. And this opens up in another page, the help page for the Draw Your Own Districts tool. Now this webinar is designed to support the use of these help files and vice versa. Everything we go through tonight in the webinar is covered on one of these pages in the help files. We're going to talk about selecting census blocks. We're going to figure out how to get population totals. We're going to see how to save the selection as a map layer that shows up on the map. And we're going to look at exporting your selection to a form that can be used by the Redistricting Commission, as well as how to make multiple different districts and calculating the percent deviation. We'll close that out. So this map is similar to most other online maps that you've used. You can move the map around by pressing and holding the left mouse key. You can grab the screen and pan around. You can zoom in and out on the map. If your mouse has a mouse wheel, you can zoom into the map. It takes a while to redraw, and then you can zoom out. There's also navigation tools in the upper left corner of the map where you can zoom in, centered on the map. You can zoom out, and then underneath those navigation tools, you can go to the default extent, the little icon with the house button, and you can click on that. It'll send you back to the original screen. You also may have noticed that as we zoom around and go to different scales, zoom in closer, different data will show up while other data will disappear. So there are a variety of layers here that will come and go as you zoom in and out, depending on whatever scale you're at. On the right side, we have the layer list. It shows a variety of layers. We'll get into the details of all of these, but we also see that there are some layers here that are not currently turned on and visible. One is the chip city limits layer and tribal areas. When we turn on tribal areas, we can see on the map labels for the various tribal areas within the county. And if we zoom in, here's one way to zoom in on this. We go over to the ellipse to the right of the layer name, click on it, and select Zoom to. That zooms us into Chip City limit here and Chip Paiute reservation boundaries over here. Those are defaulted to not being visible, so we'll put those back. Another layer we have is census blocks with population. It's important to use the population within the blocks because we are trying to achieve a fairly equitable distribution of population amongst the proposed districts. You can get population information for each individual block by clicking in the map, left mouse click, and you can see the racial breakdown as well as total population for each individual block. So there are some other functions available in this map, and I would encourage everybody to just explore the map, click on things. If you're not sure what will happen, don't worry, you cannot break this. Well, only I can do that. So feel free to see what happens when you click on things. On the left side of the screen is the select dialog box, and we're going to get into the details of how to use that now. So I'm going to go through the process of creating a potential district. I'm not going to focus on the actual population distribution at this point. I'm just going to go through the technical steps of selecting, assessing, and then exporting those census blocks for a hypothetical district. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to the upper left corner, and we'll pretend that I'm going to make a new District 1 up here in the northwest corner of the county. So the first thing I want to do is go over to the layer list and turn on one of these block selection layers. There are 5 of these block selection layers that are shown as in different colors. We can zoom out and see that each block selection layer covers the entire county once it draws. And you'll see soon why I've done this. I have 5 separate layers in there of 5 different colors to facilitate someone making 5 different potential districts if they would like. So now that that's turned on, we'll zoom back in. So we're in the northwest corner. We have the block selection D1 turned on here. The visibility is turned on. And when we look at the select dialog on the left side, we see now that all these layers, we now have, where they were grayed out, we now have the block selection D1 layer is turned on, or it is, and it shows up as being available to select. So going to click in the checkbox on the left to click to toggle selectability and turn that on. That means we can now select those blocks. We move up the green bar at the top, click the down arrow, and we can see that there are a variety of tools that can be used for selecting blocks. You can experiment with which of those you like. I'm going to use the rectangle. There's a tooltip on the screen that says press down to start and let go to finish. So I'm going to draw a rectangle around the northwest corner of the county, and I'm going to press the left mouse button down, drag down and right, and then I let go to finish. And you see that I drew a rectangle. Wherever the rectangle intersected a census block, that block was selected and is overlaid with a light blue transparency so we can see that those blocks are selected. If we go over and look at the select dialog box on the left-hand side, we see that there's a number 229 here. And what that means is there are 229 individual census blocks that have been selected. Now, if we decide we want to add more blocks to this, we can zoom in. I use the mouse wheel for that for zooming, and you can use these. And over here. And now I want to pan the map, and before I use the mouse button to pan the map and click on the map, I want to make sure that I'm no longer in selection mode. So the green bar is a light green now, so I know that I'm not in selection mode, so that I can hold down the mouse button, map over, and that centers it, and I can let go and I don't lose my selection. So now I'm going to choose select by rectangle again, and we see that the color of the bar is a darker green. That's how we know when I am in selection mode. And I want to select these 3 blocks here. The way I'm going to do that, to add, since I have a selection already, I don't want to lose that selection. I just want to add 3 more blocks. I'm going to use the shift key. So I hold down the shift key and then the left mouse key to select, draw my rectangle, let go of the mouse key, and then I can let go of the shift key. And that's how I add 3 more blocks to an existing selection. So I want to zoom back out and take a look at it. So I can go over here in the selection actions, clicking on the ellipse to the right of the block selection layer, zoom to, and then that zooms out and I have selected. So that looks like what I'm looking for. So now I'm going to go ahead and open this up, help files. So we've selected census blocks. We've gone through this process here. Now I want to take a look at the population numbers. So that is get population totals. And directions for that are on this page in the help files. So I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to click the ellipse to the right side, and under the selection actions, I'm going to find statistics. And I'm going to click statistics. What these statistics give me are the count, the sum of values, minimum, maximum, average, and standard deviation for the population for the field that we are looking at. And the field we're looking at here is pop total, which is short for population total. The other option is non-Hispanic white. And this, I added this in just so if people were interested in looking at population distribution of the various potential districts they're creating, they could do that using these numbers. So we're going to stick with population total. Now the number of values is 232. That's the count of blocks that are selected, as we see over here on the left-hand side. The sum of values is the total population. That is the sum of the values of this field pop total. So our block selection is 1,020, which is nowhere close to 3,792. But we're not going to worry about that tonight. And then these other numbers, maximum might be of interest. That shows that the highest population of any single is 90 people within that block. And then the average and standard deviation, less useful for us in this situation. So that's how you can get your numbers. And this is an easy way to calculate % deviation from your selections. You can grab a selection, look at the sum of values real quick and see if that's even close. And then if you want to add more people, you can. So just for the sake of practice, I'm going to add a few more blocks and see if we can get the number a little closer. So I here looks pretty good. We'll see what happens if I just add everything north of this neighborhood. And I'm going to zoom out. So no, I don't necessarily at this point have to grab those, have 0 populations. So I'm going to zoom in, move the map, select by rectangle, use the shift key, draw my rectangle, make sure I get down there, let go, those are added in. Now it's 285 blocks. Statistics, 3803. So that's closer. We'll go with that. So we're happy with our selection here. I'm going to zoom back out to it. So we look at that. So we missed that block. We missed a block down here. Probably eventually the way that districts are on, the district would actually go up here. But for now, this is going to work since we've got a population that we're looking for. So now we want to export. So we're going to go over to the help pages. We're going to export selections. So we like this when we're going to export the selection. Go to this page. And we're going to read through this. We see export to Geojson. I'm not going to read through this. You'll be able to do this on your own, but it gives directions for exporting, how to open it, how to find it in your computer after it's been downloaded to your computer, how to submit it to the Redistricting Commission. And then it gets into also CSV files, which we'll cover in a second here. So I'm going to go over to the ellipse in the select dialog. Click the ellipse, export to Geojson. In the lower left corner of my browser, hopefully y'all can see this, the file, excuse me, the file was downloaded. We can see it down here. It's called Features Geojson. And there's an up arrow on the right side of that. I can say show in folder. So I'm going to click show in folder. What this does is this opens an instance of File Explorer to my downloads folder. Anytime you download anything, this is the folder it gets automatically sent to. So I see this file is in here now. So if I wanted to take this JSON file and submit it to the Redistricting Commission, this is the file that I would send when I go in and submit a comment. Now, to look at GeoJSON files, you need GIS software. You can open this file in Google Earth, which is a common GIS software that a lot of people have, but it's a large file and it bogs down Google Earth. So unless you have a lot of patience to load it and then walk away from your computer for a while, you might not want to bother with that. So to submit this, we could back to the redistricting page, go up to the top, submit comments. That takes us to the comment submission page. Fill out this page and then attach the file. You can add a new file. You can locate the file on your computer and send it that way. So another option that is, while the end result is not GIS data specifically, is a table that could be opened by anybody with text editor, spreadsheet, any sort of database program. We go back to the select dialog box, click the ellipse, pull down and find export to CSV file. Click that, and once again, the CSV file is downloaded to the same folder. We can go down here, show in folder, and there it is right next to the features.geojson. We have features.csv. On my computer, it is CSVs are read as Excel files, so it shows with the Excel icon there. I'm going to go ahead and open it in a text editor so we can take a look at, see what it looks like initially, just in a text editor without automatic formatting from Excel. So, and this is what the table looks like when it's output. This is just a table with unique identifier of the block number. Then the block itself, the block number, and then total population and non-Hispanic white population down here. So we see we have some with 0 population. This block has 2 people. This block has 97 people, 64, so on. So that's what it looks like in the text editor in its raw form. But we can also open it in Excel. Here's what it would look like in an Excel spreadsheet. We can use Excel to calculate percent deviation. I don't want to get too deep into how to use Excel. So if you're familiar with Excel, you should be able to follow along. If you're not familiar with it, this might be a little more challenging. What I've done is I've inserted a row at the top, and I'm going to type a formula in, or yeah, I think this one here. I don't have to type it in. What I'm doing is getting population total, except that's not the right field. There we go. That is the correct field. Pull this all the way to the bottom. So there's our total again, 3,803. That's total population. So calculate percent deviation. Here is just a screen grab. And again, I do not go into great detail here. This does rely on the user having some familiarity with Excel. I'm going to, and I have the formulas here. I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste the formula here, since it was provided. Let's see this way. And there it is. So this is referencing cell D2. D2, that is correct. So .3. So that's really good. That's less than 1% deviation. And here's the other one. These are mathematically the same. It's just more useful. So 0.3 deviation. So that's not bad. Okay, so we like that. We have our district 1. Now we want to draw another district. So here's how we do that. First, we're going to turn off visibility of, jumping ahead here. First, we are going to turn that off. Now we're going to save the layer selection so that we can find it later without having to turn on block selection 1. And we're going to back to the select dialog box, pull down to create layer, and we're going to call this proposed district 1. So now we see green lines over here again. We can turn off selectability of proposed district 1. We can turn off selectability of block district 1. Turn off visibility of block district 1, so we can still see proposed district 1. So now we know we can turn on, let's turn on block selection district 3, which will show up with purple lines. And so now we can see what already exists as district 1. That way we will not accidentally select blocks that are already in district 1, and we'll get all the blocks abutting up against district 1 for our district 3. So we've turned on visibility for block selection 3. Now we turn on selectability for block selection district 3, and we zoom in. This time I'm going to use the tools in the upper left. So we can see the boundary of our proposed district 1 over here. So we'll be able to grab all the blocks that butt up right against it. So I have selectability for block selection D3 turned on here. Nothing else is selectable. I can just select that. I am going to select by rectangle. And well, actually, I'm going to clear that out. And because we don't want to split up the tribal area, I'm going to turn that boundary on. I'm going to move it up. So right now, the way we have this set is you can see there are 2 ways to make the bishop pipe boundary more visible. It is a light green transparent. It doesn't show up very well with the showing the populated blocks. So one option is to turn off visibility of these populated blocks. Then it still doesn't show up very well because of the base map we're using in the background has similar shade of the same light green. So that still doesn't show up very well. So I can turn that back on. And now I can move this layer up, the tribal areas layer, so it is above the purple lines here for district 3. So I'm going to move it up. Oh, it's not going to let me move it up above it. Oh, well. So we're going to have to go with this. And we're going to have to just look closely at it. Maybe if we zoom in a little more, we can see the lines a little better now. So there's the dash green boundary showing. So now we can go towards selection. Select by rectangle. I've selected those. Now I want to go ahead and select these two lower blocks here. And this block. Now I have the entire reservation selected. Now I can turn the population back on, so that's visible. I can even turn that off. And now I can go about filling in the gaps between what I have selected and District 1. So using the Shift key, I hold the Shift key down. It turned off selection. Here we go. So turn this back on, select by rectangle, Shift key down, grab that, grab those two, grab those, turn selection off so that I can move the map, turn selection back on. I want Shift keys down so I can grab these. And that one, and we'll call that good. There are 57 blocks selected. Sum of values, 3,356. That's not too bad. We're gonna accept that as our District 3. We're going to export to Geojson. And then we would go through the process of submitting that as one of the files with our comments. And these files can be renamed also in the same way that you would rename any file. We can call this District 2, and we could rename this one District 1. So we've exported the Geojson file, and now we want to see how that looks for building our District 2. Yes, District 2. I'm going to create layer file, call it Proposed District 3. There, I'm going to turn off visibility of that. Turn off selectability for all those. Turn off selectability for District 3. And zoom. So here's what we have so far. Proposed District 1 outlined in green, proposed District 2 outlined in purple. So I believe that is it. Keep in mind the help files. Many answers you may need will be in the help files. Any other questions you have or problems that you encounter, you can contact me through the county website on the GIS page, and also our emails are standard first initial last name. So for me, that would be mhay@inyocounty.us. And I believe that is it. And I think we will have no questions unless Grace has a question.
I have many questions, mostly how did you make this, Mike? Because I couldn't even begin to create something like this. So thank you for this great tutorial. As Mike said, we're always available for any feedback, questions, input that the public may have. We invite you to submit maps via the export feature that Mike showed you today. You're also welcome to just simply describe your maps. If you're on this tool and you feel like maybe it's a little much or a little too technical for you, you can draw them on paper, you can describe them with words, whatever's easiest for you. And our redistricting website has lots of great links and comment buttons and everything that make those really easy to get to the county. So I think that's it for tonight, but otherwise we encourage you to attend hearings and we encourage the public to participate in this process. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.